When you discovered Riverbend, what did you think of the movie? You say it's the best film that you've never seen. Why so?
Agency, agency of, when I say agency, it means, self-determination in the sense that the characters in most movies that don't star people with our hue get to decide their own fate. Like Thelma and Louise, we're gonna put our foot on the gas and drive off the cliff, But you go see Juice, and it was designed with Tupac lets go of the hand. He does not want to be saved. But in the editing of the movie, they make it seem like this character slips and falls and yells.
YUNKJunk! Hey, welcome to the Micheaux Mission, 2 men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Len, AKA the Bat Tribble. And as always, I'm joined by my partner.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, or missionaries, we are kicking off. A is for August, which means action, here on the Micheaux Mission. And we are doing it with a very special guest in the building. He is a filmmaker. He is a movie historian.
Yes, sir.
And even more importantly, he's our buddy.
Yeah, oh yeah.
From ReelBlack, put your hands together for MIKE DENNIS.
The one, the only, the legend.
AKA Dexter St. Jock Tribble. You christened me that years ago, and I never.
You christened yourself.
That's true. I'm the Dexter St. Jock. Wait, hang on, Dexter St. Jock.
I was about to say you got to throw it over your shoulder.
I see a lot of family here, so this is gonna be fun.
Most definitely.
Absolutely.
We are going to be kicking off Action August, ladies and gents and missionaries. It's going to be hard for me to get out of that.
Hey, it's a process.
With our look at and review from 1990 of Riverbend, starring Steve James and Margaret Avery, directed by Sam Furstenberg, and brought to you here on the Micheaux Mission by MIKE DENNIS in ReelBlack, because this is not only the film that we will be reviewing, but this is a passion project, one might say.
Oh, yeah.
For Mike.
Labor of love.
A labor of love.
Yeah.
But hopefully not just love, as he is
Oh, that's right.
working hard on doing the full restoration of this 1990s classic. How did this fall in your lap?
The short version of it is, I have a YouTube channel. I see a lot of people watching live. I got to shout them out. I see the Mod Squad and everybody. But, during the pandemic, we were putting a lot of movies up on the channel. I'm an archivist and have a deep collection. And Riverbend was a movie that was neglected. I'm skipping ahead on the story. So we had it on the channel, it got a few views, and I got an email from the director, Sam Furstenberg.
Okay.
And at first I thought it was gonna be like a cease and desist.
Right.
Like, how dare you put my movie up, and
Where's American Ninja?
he said, break into Electric Boogaloo.
There you go.
But, shout out to Sam Furstenberg. So he wrote me and he said, thank you for putting it up on YouTube. He had just recently done it himself. And he said, you're doing the film a great service because it was independently produced and financed. And it had fallen out of distribution. Right. And he wanted more people to see it. And so it's that sort of conversation. I was like, anytime I get a chance to talk to a director, I'm like, how did this movie happen?
Right.
What's the story behind this movie? And we'll get into why I love this movie so much in a few minutes. But basically, where was I? He said you're doing the movie a great service.
Right.
And keep doing what you want. So as we're talking about me and Charles Woods did a live a Zoom call with him.
Okay, cool.
And he told us the whole story from his perspective of how the movie was made. And as we were talking, going back and forth, this is like 4 years ago, a 35 millimeter print of the film shows up on eBay.
Oh.
Right. So I said, this has got to be karma or kismet or something. And at the time, I didn't know what to do.
And neither of you knew about this showing up on
Right. This is someone else's print.
It was somebody else's print.
Okay.
And at the time, I said, well, this might be the only print in existence. It's 35 millimeter film.
Right.
I had no way to transfer it or do anything with it at the time. But I said, let me put a bid on it. And I won the print. And it came from South Africa, of all places.
Wow.
Interesting.
So, you know, and like getting film is like when you go to the photomat back in the day. I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember like taking film to the drugstore.
Missionaries are.
We are old enough to remember.
And it was during the pandemic. So it took like 6 months for it to arrive. And when it finally did, it was in this huge box. And it sat under my desk for almost a year. And then we got demonetized. Shout out to YouTube. And money was running low. And I said, well, let me get this thing transferred and scanned, right? And when we got it scanned, you know, you don't know what's on the film, right?
Right.
So the first thing we noticed was beat to crap, scratches everywhere, right? So, and then, so I reached out. There's I don't know if you guys know Deaf Crocodile Records. They put out Solomon King.
Yeah.
Which I thought was an amazing restoration.
On their own,
So
right.
I reached out to them, and a gentleman over there, Craig Rogers, offered to, you know, gave me a sweetheart deal to take the dirt and scratches out of the print, right? So we got that done, and then we discovered that there were scenes missing, and Sam has been supervising the restoration. So we've been taking the print that we have on the road, you know, to different festivals. We started in Denton, Texas, which is very close to where the film was shot, and then we did Roxbury in Boston last month. And this weekend, if you're in Las Vegas, you want to go to the Las Vegas Premiere Film Festival, and it's screening. It's on Saturday. I don't know the date, August 12th, maybe something like that.
Okay.
This Saturday at 1:25 p.m. Their time. So if you're in Vegas, please support it. But you know, but in the process of doing these screenings, we discovered that there are more prints available. And one of them is in the possession of Valerie Vance, the widow of Sam Vance, who's the writer producer.
Right of the movie.
He's the writer of the movie and producer. She's the co-producer of the movie. She has a print of the film. So we're in talks now and working out how we can get that print transferred and get a full restoration available and in people's hands in time for Juneteenth of next year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, so that's been the journey, you know.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we say we like black movies. This man
Right.
black movies, man.
Well, it just fell on, I mean, it's
Like how
like
chickens
the gods,
and
you know, I mean,
contribute to breakfast.
you actually watch more movies than I do. I mean, I know of them, but you actually sit there and critique every black movie known. I don't know if I have that many opinions about Johnny Tough. So, you know, but you guys are doing it, so.
We're trying. We're trying.
And somehow, after 900 movies, you catch up to Riverbend.
Well, it's 400.
Well, see, it's not 900.
It's only 400.
It's only 400.
Oh, 400.
But we've put up to, well, excuse me, we don't have, you know, contacts in South Africa with prints of the film. I apologize.
Right.
You know? And trust me, we have mined through the ReelBlack filmography on YouTube a couple of times for some of our films.
Several times. Shout out to ReelBlack.
Okay,
Most definitely.
Hopefully you like this one a little better than you did Booty Call.
So let's get into the show, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, they're all right. So if this comes out well, nudge, nudge,
Yes. Nudge, nudge.
you'll be on the Blu-ray.
Oh, okay.
So be nice, but be honest and be fair.
Always.
Always. We're always honest. And we always try to be fair.
Right.
Here on the Micheaux Mission. All right. For you people that are new to the chat and
Welcome.
the Missionaries. Welcome to everyone we are streaming live from YUNKJunk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace, right here in Manayunk, PA, to Facebook, to X, as well as to YouTube, where I encourage you all to hit the subscribe button so that you can check out when we go live every Tuesday night and are notified when we put up new reviews and new videos up on the channel. All right? Okay. Mike, I know you're here for Riverbend, but You love black movies. You love black culture.
I love black.
All right.
I love black.
A lot of people don't know that was the first name for ReelBlack, but then he said it was taken. So he went to ReelBlack.
And they went to Always Bet on Black and heard from Wesley Snipes people.
Yeah,
Nobody wants that.
Nobody
Oh,
wants
is
that.
it? Okay, all right. I've been trying to study this. I've been watching your show and, trying to find the connections between 6 Degrees of
D'Urville
Martin.
The Game of Kings
Okay, so
in ancient times.
I'm prepared.
You're prepared?
In case we have to play that.
Now we do.
I see Vashawn and Lanaya and Voyeur in the audience, so I know they're ready too. So
All right.
Okay.
Well, we're ready.
All right.
But first,
cheat.
we're going to start things.
Cheat, guys.
You're going to cheat.
I can see everything that you say, so if I mess up, just type it in real fast. I'll just pretend I know it.
He's got like his own squad out there. He's got his own fact checkers out there.
Right.
D'Urville Martin.
Gotta make Mike look good. Well, first we got to get to our emails, folks, because we want to hear from all of you. And that means we're going to go to our
Missives from the Missionaries. So what else is going on, Lynn?
We have emails, Vincent.
Ooh, Missives from the Missionaries. Ooh. Missives from the Missionaries.
This is from the Missionaries. We have one, Vincent, Mike, from Calvin.
Hey, what's up, Calvin?
A couple of suggestions.
Is this our Calvin?
It is our Calvin.
Hey, Calvin.
Excuse me, he's my Calvin.
I'm sorry. You can't be our Calvin?
No,
All right.
no.
Is this your Calvin?
It's my Calvin.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Hey, Vince and Len. I don't like that you led with Vincent, though.
I didn't want to say nothing, but go ahead.
It's been a minute since I've mailed a massive email, but I have been enjoying the show nonetheless. Not that you are ever lacking for movies to choose from, but I recently came across a couple to submit for your consideration. The first would be a candidate for your documentary reviews, which we do in September, which is In the Fall. I recently watched Hip Hop and the White House on Hulu. It chronicles hip-hop's relationship with and sometimes influence over American politics in general and the White House in particular. I enjoyed it, but I would love to hear your take on it. Are you familiar with hip-hop and the White House, Vincent?
I am not.
I've actually seen the little promo for it, but I haven't seen it. Have you watched that?
This is over my head. This is out of my pay range.
Me too. Secondly, he continues, my dad and I recently took a road trip to Canton for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. While in this section of the museum dedicated to the NFL's contribution to pop culture, I noticed a DVD situated directly beneath a copy of Brian's song. It stood out for two reasons. One, because the cover featured a animated image of 6 African-American men under the title, The Black Six. That's actually the DVD he's talking about.
Yes.
The second reason it stood out is because it looked like someone had planted it there since it had no descriptive placard like all of the other artifacts. A Google search gave me the brief synopsis of a movie featuring 6 current, at the time, NFL players who play a biker gang seeking revenge against a rival biker gang of white supremacists. It, of course, made me think of you two. I look forward to either or both's inclusion as stops along the road. Keep up the good work. Calvin, you're familiar with the Black Six?
Yeah, and I think, Mike, you want to talk about the Black Six a little bit?
Yeah, it's a public domain movie. It's on a lot of compilations, right? So when back in the day, you could always find it at the supermarket on a compilation with Black Fist and Black Dragon Tattoo and
Wow.
And Johnny Tough, actually,
Okay.
But yeah, if I've seen it, it was so long ago that it's not funny. But yeah, it's at the time, they weren't looking for actors to be in blaxploitation movies.
That's right.
They were looking for names that had been established. So in the 70s, sports figures, football players specifically, were the action stars. the same way rappers would become the movie stars of the
80s and 90s.
80s and 90s, you know. So I'm sure whatever white man decided to come up with this concept was like, yeah, we got a winner. We got all these players, you know. And I think they all from like the Bengals or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I know Chris. I think they all play for the same team, you know, because it was like, you know, they weren't going out of their way to get like the top. And they weren't going to the draft to cast their movie. It wasn't like Shaq and Blue Chips, you know.
Okay.
It wasn't like we you know, Paramount Pictures presents. This was like you know, David L. Bronowitz presents Black Six, you know. But you know, it came out on Blu-ray through Code Red, you know, a few years back.
Okay.
And I think and that's a beautiful print.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my 3 cents on it.
I just remember the advertising, to your point, that you know it was just the most cynical white man who put it together. The advertising literally says, you like the football players, we got 6 of them. It like says 6 times Fred Williamson, 6 times OJ. Like it really is. Yeah. It's nothing about the plot. It doesn't even pretend that they're actors. It's just you blacks like athletes in movies. So we got 6 of them. And we call it the Black Six because they're black.
But there's stunts and stuff. I remember like there's like a chain.
With the chain, right?
You know, the black bikers.
This sounds amazing.
I love the fact that you said it's a beautiful print of it. Like there's a beautiful print of the Black Six.
Oh yeah, these guys at Code Red, they go out of their way. They brought back Guy from Harlem. That's coming out on Blu-ray soon. But you know, so I mean, there's a market. Hey, I don't want to I mean, there might be somebody watching this is like, man, you guys are ripping my favorite movie. Like every movie, there's somebody who thinks it's their favorite film. Sure. Unfortunately, the Black Six is probably not on most people's list, let alone radars. And it's up to you guys to preserve it.
But there are 6 of them, Lynn. It's 6 of them.
Okay.
You like the athletes in movies? Well, Black Six has 6 of them.
I look forward to checking that out.
Yeah, anybody who wanted to rent that next to Brian's song would be sorely disappointed.
Yeah, that's not a double feature that I would book. All right, we got another email. This is from Michael Lockett.
Hey, what's up, Michael?
Can you bet on this black lottery ticket? Is the subject line.
Okay.
Len and Vince, you were speaking to my soul on both the current episode with the review of Lottery Ticket and my time travel jaunt back to Passenger 57. Just to fill you in, Michael. Michael
either
is someone who actually watches our show in real time, but is also going through our catalog.
Okay, cool.
So, Lottery Ticket had a story, cast, and enough elements to be a really fun film. It falls flat in my opinion. It's a meh kind of a flick, a background laundry folding joint, which is what we spoke of. Passenger 57 with Wesley Snipes, like so many of the action flicks of the mid-'80s to late '90s, was better in its day than on a rewatch. This film had enough holes in it to melt over some ham and lay it gently on some freshly baked artisan sourdough bread. I am a Wesley fan, but this film does nothing to help him as an artist. That said, I'd bet another ham sandwich that he bought a house off this joint. You would be correct.
Yeah, and you would be correct. Yeah.
Right. The debate on the deepest benches in sitcoms had me rolling. As dated as it is, The Cosby Show does have the deepest bench. At any moment, an entire episode could have been devoted to the people outside of the first season of the Huxtable clan, and the fans would have been invested because we knew the bench. This conversation made me wonder who you two think is the greatest pinch hitter, role player, and substitute in sitcoms. Who was the man or woman that, no matter how or when they showed up on a show, put in undeniably great work and became the key to an episode's staying power? I always lean towards Whitman Mayo myself. All the best, Michael Lockett. I still contend the Cosby Show has a deep bench. It does. But I push back pretty hard, especially as he defined this, that you could devote an episode of the Cosby Show and be just as invested as if it were about either the couple, the parents, or one of the kids, I push back on that. I don't think that you could have really gotten away with devoting an episode just to
Theo and his friend.
Well, not so much Theo and his friend, but where Theo was like just a side character in that episode, and it's more about his friend. I push back on that. And the show that I brought up in argument of that, and again, I admit it is animated, but I think The Simpsons proves that that actually has a very deep bench, because there have been episodes that have been totally about the other characters to the point where the Simpsons barely even show up and you are still very much invested. And then they will do callbacks to that episode down the line and you're still invested.
First of all, I disagree. I think Erica Alexander and her crew actually revitalized it.
Okay.
Like, I think you had episodes with her again in Alan Payne, and I forgot the sister's name who plays.
Oh yeah, she's from Philly.
Yeah, who was so good at it, she ended up on a different world. I thought those were really solid episodes. I mean,
I'm not saying they weren't good episodes.
No. I think they were as good as episodes throughout. You know, of course, the best of the best. And I let you slide with this Simpsons thing, but come on, you're talking about these side characters. Like, it's one voice doing 5 different characters, though.
That's not the point.
No, that's 100% the point. Because we're talking about an actual bench. Like, if you're going to say, oh, well, somebody can come in and, like, you might as well do the Carol Burnett show. Because it's 4 of them playing different characters.
Okay, but one, that's totally different because that's a variety show. There's sketches. You're going from different sketches. That would be just like comparing it to Saturday Night Live.
You had sketches
that's not fair.
That would come back again and again.
Okay, yeah. But that
also voice acting, because they don't age, because it's voice acting. It's a little unfair. Like I said, I'm gonna let you slide with.
But I think you do it a disservice saying that it's one character doing, one voice doing 5 different characters.
It's not one voice doing 5 different characters.
It may be that to a degree, but I think you do the actors a disservice and the writers that while it is the same voice, they are not developing actually totally separate, distinct characters from one another.
I think it's easier to work with one actor than it is to work with more than one actor.
Okay, yes, I'll give you that, but you're saying that almost as if it's like the same character because it's
no. I'm saying it's the same actor. That's what I said. It was the same actor. It's not the same actor.
I still don't.
Hank Azaria doesn't play 15 different characters. So, like, Frank Azaria get credit 15 separate times?
I still think that you're being a little bit unfair on that. And because I think that the characters are very well defined.
I didn't say they weren't well defined.
And we're talking about the characters. We're not talking about the actors.
No, we are. I said the bench. I was talking about.
The bench is talking about.
No, I'm talking about the actors.
Oh, my God. Okay. If you want to go bench, then I would still go. And I'm not knocking Cosby as having a deep bench, but I would still put up the cast and bench of Cheers.
Name 5 bench characters in Cheers. 5.
Bench? It's Norm. It's Cliff.
Norm is part of the cast. Norm is 100% part. Is he not in the credits?
Okay. Fair enough. Lilith and wait a minute. Frasier.
Lilith and Frasier. There you go. Those are 2.
They were bench. They became cast.
You now have 3 more.
Okay, I'll give you 3 more. What's his name? That was going to marry Rebecca's character. I can't remember his name.
I see he's left a mark.
Dude, you couldn't even bring up the girl, so don't throw back on me. You just had the same problem.
How many episodes was he on?
He was on there for like about 3 seasons.
Her fiance?
Yeah.
He was not on.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Robin was his name.
We got to table this. And he's nowhere near as strong as Erica Alexander and her crew.
Not even
the
crew. Yes. Eric Alexander, no, because she became a cast member. But the crew, yes, he is. Yes, he is.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he is.
Nobody even remembers him.
I do.
Continue, please, because
We're done the email. Do you have anything to add to this, Mike? Thank you. Let's move on.
Michael, I know it's uncomfortable when mommy and daddy fight, but that doesn't mean that we're not in a relationship and everything's going to be okay.
No, this is fascinating. Like, you should have my view. Like, it's like, you know, okay. I didn't know it went that deep. How deep is the bench? So I'm just curious. So Different World doesn't count. Like, you're not talking about spin-off characters.
No. The show itself, just the show.
Oh, okay. So like, and it's not like a backdoor pilot like they did with Huggy Bear.
Right. No.
You guys go deep on this one.
I mean, I'm not.
You enjoy your media a lot.
Well, look,
Okay.
I'm going to move on.
Content is king. I love it.
I'm going to move on. We got an email from Corey P.
What's up, Corey?
Hello, Len and Vincent, the Missionaries, and the special guest.
That would be you.
At the time of this writing, I am reading James Baldwin's Giovanni's Room and listening to the multi-talented artist herself, Patrice Rushen's Straight from the Heart album.
Oh, my goodness. You're having a good afternoon.
I really wish Giovanni's Room was turned into either a movie or a miniseries on Hulu. I listened to your review of Belly, and I could not stop laughing. I don't know which was funnier. Len being distressed and annoyed how terrible the film was, or Vincent's defense of the film and trying to find positivity in it. Either way, I almost had tears coming out of my eyes because every time I listen to a review of Belly, I'm always get a kick out of it. You can tell that Hype Williams was a big fan of The Godfather, Scarface, and even Goodfellas, all movies that inspired a generation of hip-hop artists because of the mafia culture, drugs, and women. Easily the funniest episode on the mission thus far. I treat the Micheaux mission like a book club. I watched the movie before listening to the review, so I'm jumping around and currently at 47 episodes with more to go. This podcast is a treat, and I can't wait until the new episode. Love always, Corey.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you, Corey. We appreciate that. And are you a fan of Belly?
I am. With the sound down.
Really?
Yeah, I can't watch Belly with the sound up. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That movie sucks.
Whoa!
But with the sound down, it's a masterpiece.
Right, sure.
Beautiful.
Sure.
And DMX, rest in peace, and Nas. I mean, you know, we talk about this a lot. Me and Vashon talk about Belly a lot offline. And, you know, it's unfortunate that he had the production difficulties with Lionsgate that he did, because I think it would have been a better film. But the ambition is there, and what he did with Malik Saeed's cinematography is just tremendous. You know, so I was the first person to buy it on 4K, and like I said, I mean, if I'm not reading Giovanni's Room, pause. No disrespect. Shout out to James Baldwin, but. I will.
Like Hot Take Dennis.
I will.
One of my favorite books.
Yeah, no, now I'm homophobic. No, I respect everybody, right? But you're not going to catch me reading Giovanni's Room because I can't read, folks. But I will watch Belly with the sound down, and I will blast some James Brown or some DMX underneath it. So that's my hot take on Belly.
My hot take, Corey, is that this may be in the running for the funniest episode of the Micheaux mission. Wow, Mike. All right.
No disrespect.
No.
Shout out to Corey. I feel bad. See, this is live. I mean, this is a kind of
That's why you do stuff on film.
I always you got no filter, and I haven't done anything. You know,
You let Mike out of the room.
completely sober. I just like I like these guys, honestly, and.
I'm gonna move on for you, Mike.
Okay.
We got one last email.
Oh, wait, but I do have to say that your viewers, and Corey and Michael and everybody, you have exquisite taste. Like artisan bread on a ham sandwich, that just shows the care that the person's taking to watch the film. And I feel really old now also, because you guys are talking about movies that I saw in the theater and when they first came out as if they're rediscoveries, you know.
Yeah.
So I feel ancient. Like Passenger 57, I actually saw in the theater.
Yeah.
So do we.
Yeah.
Belly, I actually saw in the theater. So, I mean, this is 20 plus years ago. So I'm just like.
My daughter is digging in the archives of Black film history, and she's waiting for me to dig out a DVD of this really old film that I only have on DVD called, I believe it's called Jungle Fever.
Ouch.
Is it pronounced Jungle Fever?
Ouch.
Jungle Fever?
Fever.
She was like, Dad, do you have something to watch it on? It's like I think I can dig out some technology for you to watch the DVD of. She says it on DVD or CD. What do you call it? It's like, it's Jungle Fever. Yeah, so.
I might have been at the test screening for Jungle Fever.
I was 100% at a test screening for Jungle Fever.
You know, I'm ancient.
Yeah,
so forgive me and my ignorance. That's all I want to say.
It's fine.
All right. Anyway,
one last email from Michael Sykes.
Hey, what's up, Michael?
Subject line: This movie that ain't no sucker. Hello, Len and Vincent. I listened to your episode of I'm Gonna Get You Sucker.
Okay.
Damn, this movie didn't stand a chance with y'all. Y'all point out how lazy the movie is using Isaac Hayes' song Shaft instead of John Slade having his own. Dawn Lewis is not funny. Her character is like cardboard cutout. Len said they do the same beat over and over again. The way y'all bash this movie, I'm afraid what y'all going to think of Boys in the Hood, the Creed movies, Waiting to Exhale, Hustle and Flow, Into Deep, and Judas and the Black Messiah.
Wow, we haven't done any of those.
We haven't.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually was thinking like, no, we haven't.
Right.
Judas
He just rattled off a bunch of movies we haven't done.
No.
Yeah.
Well, wait. Y'all forgot to point out how it was an idea of Eddie Murphy's first that he then gave to Keenan Ivory Wayans. And y'all forgot how successful this movie was at the box office and how it became so successful, Fox wanted to turn it into a show. They aired a pilot, is on YouTube, but Keenan turned it down for In Living Color. The movie could be just fine with Damon, Kadeem, Hayes, Jim Brown, Steve, Kung Fu Joe James of Riverbend.
That's right.
Kung Fu Joe.
Kung Fu Joe.
And Antonio Vargas. Love, your fan, Michael Sykes.
You got a lot of Michaels. You sure it's not the same person?
It is literally, they write to each other now.
Okay.
They are literally to the...
But you trash, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker?
Trash is very strong.
Okay.
I think we critiqued it soberly.
Yeah, we didn't trash it.
See, now you're doing the machinations of the man. You're supposed to love crap like that so that people make more crap and we get better. Like that movie broke so many talented artists.
It did?
It did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We spoke about that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I wasn't there. So folks.
I'm pretty sure we didn't trash it.
Yeah, I don't think we trashed it.
So what is your baseline? Like what is your soul food version of a movie? Like, because I mean, I would expect Siskel and Ebert to say like, thumbs down, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, but not the Micheaux Mission guys. So like, what's like in terms of the culture, what stands out for you?
Well, I would put it this way. Everybody else loves The Last Dragon.
Okay.
I don't like The Last Dragon, but I can appreciate The Last Dragon and what it means for the culture. I don't like it as a film, but what it means for the culture and what it does for people, what Member Berries brings up for people, I can appreciate that. God bless.
But then the question begs, at what age were you introduced to Last Dragon?
I saw it.
Like, were you
I was
preteen or whatever?
I saw it in the theaters, but I was probably, I think, 17 or 18.
Yeah, you wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Friday, barbershop.
Which we both love.
Uptown Saturday Night is sort of a platonic
I'll give you that. All right, that's where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
I mean, but Dick Gregory, he would be like, barbershop. So I can't ride with barbershop anymore because
Dick Gregory didn't like barbershop?
because of Cedric. the entertainer.
Oh, yeah,
saying
indeed,
the thing
yeah.
about Rosa Parks.
Yeah.
But and that's
And I can appreciate someone in his age group
yeah.
feeling that way.
Yeah, but Tim Story's a good director. And,
And frankly, I think that's the kind of thing that you hear in a barbershop. I think
Which is, I think, what they were trying to
and I think
show.
what we talked about then, I think what is so transgressive about that moment is that is a moment that until that film, you had to be a black man in a barbershop to hear it.
right.
So in my mind, it's not even so much the commentary that he made about Rosa Parks.
Yeah.
It was the fact that now it's on film. But I thought that was
that
totally
goes to, like,
realistic.
Chris Rock's Oscar speech where he's like, you know, we're not going to get out of this ghetto of movies or black film, so to speak, until we start to have more ambition. And he's like, barbershop, car wash, those are locations. What's next? Check, cash, and place? You know, that's my best Chris Rock, folks. But you know, so, you know, when it came out, I was definitely a consumer of it. Mm-hmm. When they got to 3, I was like excited about it.
Yeah.
You know, but and Ice Cube is a great storyteller. I mean, he should be making more movies, in my opinion. You know, I think Hollywood has really hurt him in terms of like lack of Friday sequels and other ideas that he's had. You know, the lack of sequels in general of his work that he's done with Q Vision. But I mean, so Rubber Meets the Road, Uptown Saturday Night is definitely I ride with, you know, for sure.
Love that movie.
And then, you know, I don't know what's my grits and gravy movie. You know, I'll say Fear of a Black Hat. Have you guys done that one yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say that's the one
It's
that
pretty smart.
I wouldn't expect. Well, it's just like the one I wouldn't expect mainstream media to get. Mm-hmm. But but I still stand behind it, you know, despite its flaws, you know. So that's what I'm saying.
And I think it ages pretty well.
Yeah, I think out of the 2 movies we're inside baseball, right? This is like we can go deep.
Yeah.
Okay, so out of the 2 between CB4 and Fear of a Black Hat, I think CB4 ages better because it was really on the pulse of what was happening at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of it, the conservative politics has continued. So it's like, wow. And then you have rappers like Rick Ross taking gangster names. And
Exactly.
all that stuff. It's like, wow, you were like ahead of the game, you know. But then I would draw the line at Norbit. That's one I can't ride with. So you got me on pop culture black movies. I'm gonna be on Fear of a Black Hat. And then when you get as gully as Norbit, that's when I even if it's all black people in the audience, I go, no, I can't.
Okay.
I can't.
All right. It's good to calibrate.
Okay, so now people know my taste.
There you
They're
go.
new to the.
Oh, they know all about you tonight. You're letting it out, bro.
Okay, all right. Do you want me to continue?
Oh, please.
Oh my goodness.
Please. Please. This is the Michael that they came for.
Okay, cool.
They see us every week.
Okay, but I'm in your house. You know?
Sure.
We appreciate
So
that.
I don't be like putting ashes out on your. Who put the coals out on my rug?
I appreciate that.
Yes.
You know, I don't want to be that guy.
All right. Well, that is our emails, ladies and gentlemen, our Misses from the Missionaries. If you want to have your thoughts shared with us, you can email us at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's MICHEAUX@gmail.com. We're going to move on to the rest of the show, which is brought to you by BetterHelp. If you're thinking about getting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com. And you can use promo code MM for the Micheaux Mission for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com. All right? And while we're in a advertising frame of mind, Mike, you have something that you wanted to tell to the missionaries out there to give them a chance to get a piece of Riverbend for themselves.
Yeah, if you're watching this live or if you're watching, I'm right here, right?
Yep.
If you're watching this live or if you're watching this on the replay, we need you to follow our Instagram page. Right now, we're at like 146 followers on ReelBlack Renaissance. ReelBlack Renaissance is the boutique label that I'm starting to release Riverbend on Blu-ray, as well as other films that come down the pipeline that are not corporate controlled, until we get the backing to go sit at the table, and hey, I want enemy territory. I want Tougher Than Leather. I want Johnny Tough. I want those negatives now. But right now we got Riverbend, and if you follow us and send me a DM, the first 5 people I'll send a signed Riverbend postcard to. So send me a DM, follow at ReelBlack Renaissance. You'll find us on Instagram, and then DM me with your address, and I'll mail it out tomorrow.
There you go. And that's ReelBlack, REEL.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
BLACK. Renaissance. I'll let Vincent spell that.
Yeah, the shirt you got to get on your own. That's something we're not giving away.
Not giving away.
We're not giving away this shirt. This is a one of one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to point out the fashion. So
It's very nice.
You want to stand? Can they see? We got a good shot of the shirt, Dylan.
yeah, now it's a tax write-off. Thank you.
Steve James, all the guns.
That's the poster. Yeah, it's dope.
that's right.
Yeah, shout out to Aaron Kai and from Las Vegas. He did this. This is all hand painted.
Really?
Yeah, he went literally. There's a demo on ReelBlack Renaissance where he shows exactly how he took a Photoshop rendering and then he just redid it all in paint. That's what he does for a living. He's incredible. Aaron Kai.
Wow.
Okay. All right.
Nice. Okay. All right. Riverbend is from 1990, so we are going to spend a little time in 1990 right now before we get to the top 5, Vincent, as you have addressed. We should talk about those who we lost in 1990 before we take over things. And 1990, much like 2010 last year, was a big year. Vince, Mike, starting with we lost way too soon the comedian and short-lived actor Robin Harris.
Yeah.
That was
Tough.
He played the father on the in the first house party. Because he dies before the
he does. Yeah.
before the sequel.
Yeah.
But he also shows up in
Mo Better Blues.
Mo Better Blues.
Do the Right Thing.
Do the Right Thing, part of the chorus on the side. And also famous for his comedy bit Baby Kids, which would go on to inspire the animated movie Baby Kids, that he actually would have done the voice of.
Sure.
But he was...
They got Faison Love instead.
Yeah, and they got Faison. So yeah, we lost him in 1990. Also, from the world of blaxploitation, and even to say that is not doing him justice, the actor Raymond St. Jacques passed away in 1990.
Love Raymond St. Jacques.
Yes.
Book of Numbers.
Book of Numbers.
Cotton Comes to Harlem.
Cotton Comes to Harlem.
If he hollers, let him go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's an Uptight, isn't he?
Uptight.
He's an Uptight.
Uptight.
Yes. Yes. And isn't he in the movie that is a remake of the Asphalt Jungle?
That's Uptight, isn't it? Or,
No, that's not Uptight.
It's not Uptight.
it's Cool
Breeze. Cool Breeze. Yes, he's in Cool Breeze. Yeah. 1990 also is where we lost Pearl Bailey.
That is a tough year.
That was a tough year. Pearl Bailey, who I don't think really got the flowers that she deserved. Or the career that she deserved. A fantastic singer and actress. Sarah Vaughan passed away in 1990. Yeah.
Sassy Sarah Vaughan.
And if that wasn't enough, leaving us in 1990 was Mr. Bojangles himself, Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah? That was real hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a long time before I unfortunately got some water damage, I had a pen and ink drawings of Sammy Davis Jr. framed in my house, but they got water damage. And they were one of a kind, so it was a shame. But yeah, Sammy Davis Jr. inspiration. My mom said that Sammy Davis Jr. gave the best show that she ever saw live on stage after performing for 2 hours. He came out on stage. She saw him in Atlantic City. Came out on stage, performed for 2 hours, phenomenal. Then came out for an encore and was on stage for another hour and a half. And she said that hour and a half was better than the first 2 hours.
Wow. My mom went and saw Sammy Davis when she was pregnant with me.
That explains a lot.
It actually does. It actually does. Like so many things snap into focus.
Choing.
Yeah.
You have the picture of Sammy right there.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That is actually a book of Sammy Davis photography.
Photography.
Yeah, because I'm a huge Sammy Davis fan. All right.
All right.
Now it's time for the top 5.
Top 5. Who's your top 5? My top 5 is. My top 5 is. My top 5 is.
Top 5, where I give a list to Vincent and our special guest, Mike Dennis of ReelBlack, and they share their scintillating commentary on it. We are going to be reviewing Riverbend, which came out in 1990. So these are 5 things that happened in culture or Black culture in 1990.
1990, Chubb Rock steps upon the scene.
He is not...
And a pocket full of green.
Did not make the top
The
5.
dream wasn't grafted. Really?
The top... Chubb Rock did not make the top 5. He should have. You're right.
Okay. In 1989.
Rest in peace.
Number, Another Summer.
That would be the year
Get
before.
Down. Sound
That was
of
1989. This is 1990.
Welcome to the Terror Dome. Okay, all right, I'm done, yo. I'm back. No, you're taking me back to my college years, 1990, sir.
That's fine. All right, number 5.
Number 5.
Barry is busted. At the end of a joint sting operation by FBI agents and District of Columbia Police, Mayor Marion Barry is arrested and charged with drug possession and the use of crack. At the Vista International Hotel in downtown Washington, D.C., Barry was caught smoking the substance on camera with Rashida Moore, a woman who had agreed to set him up in exchange for a reduced sentence on an earlier drug conviction.
Yeah. If you were, I'm from Baltimore. I was, speaking of college, I was, went to College Park. So I was in D.C. This was like an earthquake because people in Washington, D.C., and let's be clear, Black people in Washington, D.C. love Marion Barry. And, frankly, Marion Barry was part of that generation of post-civil rights movement mayors. That, kind of the moves he made kind of ushered in that Black middle class in D.C. and in PG County. And people right now still talk about the legends of him providing summer jobs for kids and the programs. So that was a huge, huge deal. Like Marion Barry is one of those figures I don't really play with or make jokes about because people take Marion Barry very seriously. Like he's a serious matter. It's sort of like there are people who I don't speak about here in Philadelphia because I don't want no smoke from y'all.
Well, Bleep set me up. I just remember that.
Look, I think that's what we were all thinking.
That's what
when it said. Bleep, she set him up. Yeah,
set me up.
That's what he said.
And he still won after that. So it just shows how much love. I mean,
he became mayor again in 1994 for an unprecedented 4th term.
But again, unlike Donald Trump, people pointed to actual things that he did.
Facts.
Again, the Black middle class in the DMV, it's a straight line to Marion Barry. So,
yeah, I have a Marion Barry story. We met him at Philly at the Silver Docks Film Festival.
Okay.
Me and Bianca White did the interview, but there was a documentary HBO did, and he was there, and I was kind of uncomfortable because the movie, it has a center. Despite, that's the sad thing. Despite all the great things that one can become, so many of our Black male figures end up being discredited at the end, But he was a sweetheart. He was very open. You can see that interview now to this day. It's on YouTube. It's just we had 5 minutes with him, but I got to touch the microphone that he touched. So I have a 1 degree of separation. I don't know how many degrees of separation D'Urville Martin has. But I'm 1 degree of separation from Marion Barry, folks.
Right.
He's on my channel. D'Urville, you got to go all the way back to, I don't know,
Sheba Baby.
Crack House, the motion picture.
See.
See.
Now I can't go and visit my people in D.C.
Starring Jim Brown.
See.
And Jim Brown was in a movie with Fred Williamson, who was in a movie with D'Urville Martin. Several movies, as a matter of fact, with D'Urville.
He was.
That's 3 degrees. I'm 1 degree. Thank you. Anyway, what else happened in 1990? That's only 1 out of 5. We're not going to get through this tonight. They're going to cut this off. It powers me off. People, I want to sell 1 DVD.
This is not. Oh my God. Sharon Eldridge is in the chat. Michael fits right in. I love it. They are loving you.
There you go.
I've known you guys for 15 years.
Yeah, for a minute.
Easily.
Yes.
So
Number 4.
I wouldn't do this with Kamala.
Number 4, we're busting open the Crayola box because In Living Color premieres in 1990. The groundbreaking American satirical sketch comedy series aired on Fox from 1990 to 94, created by writer, producer, actor, director Keenan Ivory Wayans. The series gave voice to the African-American experience in a way that was absent in other sketch comedies. The show addressed race relations, cultural stereotypes, politics, and pop culture. It would go on to be nominated for 18 Emmy Awards over its 5 seasons and 127 episodes. It won an Emmy for Outstanding Variety, Music, and Comedy Series in its first season and was nominated in the same category in its second and third. It would also pick up the NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Variety Series in 1992. Among its cast were Damon Wayans, Kim Wayans, Sean Wayans, Marlon Wayans, as well as David Allen Greer, Kelly Cofield, Tommy Davison, Takia Crystal Kima, as well as future Oscar winners Jamie Foxx and future superstar Jim Carrey. Also, at one time, Chris Rock was a member of the cast. And in The Fly Girls, you had one Carrie Ann Aniba and Jennifer Lopez on
In Living Color.
Also, it should be noted that the choreographer of The Fly Girls was one Rosie Perez.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out to Reggie McFadden.
Yes.
Friend of mine. Tim Green's here. But yeah, I've been warned. I'm getting notices that I'm a professor at Temple University and I should tone down a little bit, but I'm not. I can't.
No.
I'm not going to tone down. But take my class. It's really good. And
This is what you get in class.
Exactly.
a little bit. You know, there's still some fragility happening at Temple, you know, and I'm there to teach them stuff. So you'll get this.
Trying to sell a class.
You'll get this, but more buttoned down. The knowledge is there.
Okay.
All right.
The knowledge is there, but I'm not. You know, I don't show up at work drunk, folks.
That's a really low bar.
Well, like The Verdict. What is it? Paul Newman. Like, I got to get through this class.
Right.
So where are you on in Living Color?
Shout out to Reggie McFadden. It's great. I mean, it changed everything. It changes. I mean, it was one of the first shows on Fox. And by the way, Tommy Davidson's going to be in Philly this weekend at Helium.
Yep.
And he's great.
Past guest.
Yeah, he's been on my show. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? What can you not say? I don't know what you're going to say because you didn't like I'm going to get you, sucker. But
Well,
What's that?
that was the precursor.
I wouldn't say I didn't like it, but I had the same critique of In Living Color that I did I'm Going to Get You, Sucker. I think
Really?
for every moment of utter brilliance that you would have, every now you'd be like 2 kind of low-hanging fruit potty joke skits.
Yeah.
So,
That's the Wayans. I mean, they made a career out
well,
of that.
that's
Scary
that,
movie.
and that's sort of my thing. It's sort of like I always say the biggest backhand compliment that I can ever give you is if I'm disappointed in you. because I'm rarely disappointed in people because I don't have any expectation of most people. So if I'm disappointed in you, it means that I had expectations.
Oh, I mean, and, you know, this is when I get to like be old for a minute. Like the first episode of In Living Color was so highly anticipated. It might have come on after one of those big ball games or whatever, but that
It absolutely did.
That Wrath of Farrakhan sketch, that was, I mean, for people who don't know the impact of that the next day, it was sort of like the black white supremacists on Chappelle's show. It just like was a knockout punch. It's like, all right, we're not going to take any prisoners. This is the kind of humor we're going to sell, and you've never seen anything like this on television before, you know? So, and then, you know, the halftime show, like the whole Super Bowl halftime show, the way we see it now with all these big name guests, would not have existed if not for In Living Color.
That's right.
Because they decided they were going to hijack the Super Bowl one year and do their own halftime show in real time.
Yeah, with the
Men on Film guys. And the next year, what did the NFL do? They got Michael Jackson.
I was going to say,
was that the very next
That's the
year?
Michael Jackson year.
We can't let people tune away on our stuff. We got to sell some Pepsi. Let's get Michael. So, I mean, you know, I that's one person I've never met that I would love. I met some of the brothers, but I've never met Keenan. I mean, I would love to give him his flowers. I mean, he changed everything. And as a young person at that time, I still have my VHS tapes of In Living Color and music guests, you know, that they that they cut out of the DVDs. I still have those on VHS. So,
oh yeah, I guess because they didn't have the rights for
some of the guests didn't make it to the DVDs. Yeah.
That old media.
Oh yeah, it's pretty warehouse full freaking VHS tapes at this point.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Number three.
Trey.
Let's go back to February 11th of 1990, where a huge upset, and I would say this may be the biggest upset in sports history.
Okay.
When James Buster Douglas knocked out Mike Tyson in the 10th round in Tokyo, Japan to win the world heavyweight boxing title. I remember watching that. I saw it live. I didn't see it live. It wasn't in Tokyo, but I saw it live.
I saw it. Yeah.
And whoa. Well, you didn't see it coming, but you saw it coming. Because Michael was getting sloppy. He wasn't paying attention. By then, he had left Customado. He was all under Don King's wing, and that never goes well. He was barely training, but the whole thing was that Buster was basically he was just a buster, you know. But he did what you're supposed to do in that moment. You're supposed to come in and put your best foot forward, and he got shook early in that fight. Mike shakes him and hits him, and Buster almost was. He said to this day, like, you know, I almost was just going to be like, yeah, it just wasn't my night. But he got up,
right,
and boy, he took it to Mike, and he presented the blueprint of how to beat Mike, because Mike Tyson was never, ever the same afterwards. One of the greatest moments in sports history. Did you see it?
No, I was there. You know, I saw it. Look, the thing about Mike Tyson at that moment is that it had almost become a foregone conclusion that he was going to win.
Yeah.
And you remember it had gotten to the point where people were kind of not paying for pay-per-view because he was knocking dudes out in like minutes, and nobody wanted to leave a room. So as the infamous not sports fan on the show, I was there just for the party. I'm just there for the party. And it was almost festival feel to it because like no one was really there for sport. You just knew Mike Tyson was going to knock the dude out, and then everybody was and I remember where I was, everything just turned upside down.
Yep.
When he got knocked out. Like it wasn't a party anymore. Like suddenly it's like the earth shook.
Well, you're right, but it stopped being a party when Douglas got back up.
Right.
Because he knocked him down. But when he got back up and was then still jabbing with Mike, you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, what is happening?
Whoa, this dude didn't read the script.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
But it wasn't like the perfect storm for Mike to get beat up. Didn't Buster's mom die? And it was like, he had like a whole thing on his chip, like, I'm doing this for my mom.
Yeah. I don't know how much of that was really out there at the time, as far as like what we knew.
Right. You learned that after the fact, because who was paying attention to Buster Douglas?
Yeah, I mean, it probably was, but you still weren't, because Mike was out there, and I'm trying to remember whether or not he was still with Robin Givens at that moment.
Right.
I can't remember whether or not they had already broken up at that moment or not, but because we're doing this live. But yeah, that was an amazing moment.
Yeah. I mean, but it's a shame his name is Buster Douglas, because it just feels a certain way. I'm sure he was like the top of everything until he got to that Mike Tyson fight. He probably won a lot of fights to get into the ring with him. But then he's Buster Douglas, so it's like Mitch Blood Green. There's just certain people that intersect in the paths of gods like Mike Tyson, and they become a footnote. Leon Spinks, that kind of thing.
Well, not Leon Michaels. Oh yeah, it wasn't.
Well, I'm saying, in boxing, Leon. I mean, Leon ended up beating Muhammad Ali,
right?
But then later he became the joke of Richard Pryor's.
Well, yes, he did.
So
he did. And a classic joke.
Classic joke.
All right, we're going to continue on with number 2. I ain't got no money. I ain't got no teethers. Number 2.
Number 2.
Do not do the right thing. Because at the 62nd Academy Awards, hosted by Billy Crystal, held in 1990, nominated for Best Picture, we had My Left Foot, Field of Dreams, Dead Poets Society, Born on the 4th of July,
and the winner,
Driving Miss Daisy.
Oh my God!
Putting to bed the myth that Driving Miss Daisy beat Do the Right Thing for Best Oscar.
That's right.
It did not.
That's right.
Do the Right Thing was not nominated. For the Oscar.
That's right.
That's a double diss.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not That's not Driving Miss Daisy's fault, though.
Okay.
This was the exact year. This was the exact year where I said, "Oh well, I actually don't have to pay attention to the Oscars as any type of barometer of anything."
Yeah, you kind of.
I turned the channel to something else. That's the end of the story. It's been turned ever since.
Really? But I mean, at the time, Driving Miss Daisy was based on a Broadway play.
Yes.
It was very successful, made a lot of money.
Yes.
I showed it to my grandmother. I was like, is this how it was? And she was, she's like, yeah, some BS. But, I mean, so we all knew, but it was still well crafted. I mean, the same thing.
It's a well-made movie.
The same thing with Green Book. I mean, like a lot of people go against Green Book because Black Klansman was up against it. But as far as traditional Hollywood stories go, and not the position, now I know I'm contradicting myself, what I was saying earlier. But it's not a bad movie. It just doesn't age as well as Do the Right Thing.
Do the Right Thing. You're absolutely
I don't think anybody's going to watch Driving Miss Daisy with any kind of sentiments, or
Here's
historical perspective.
You're talking about Do the Right Thing, and I forgot I think Born on the 4th of July is better than Driving Miss Daisy.
I've never seen Born.
It's a good movie.
Really?
Yeah.
It's really good. Tom Cruise, Oliver Stone actually does his thing.
Yeah.
Dead Poets Society, I think, doesn't age as well.
I never saw
I always thought My Left Foot was a little flashier than people thought it should have been. What else?
And Field of Dreams.
Okay.
I think Field of Dreams is better than Driving Miss Daisy.
I would put Field of Dreams probably on the same level.
I think they're both schlocky, kind of sentimental, but I think Field of Dreams storytelling and the actual story is better.
Yeah.
So I always talk about Do the Right Thing, but there were other films that were nominated that were better than Driving Miss Daisy. Driving Miss Daisy was it was 1990 and white baby boomers were scared of stuff.
Yeah.
And it made them feel good. And they voted for it.
Yeah. They weren't ready for that. They weren't ready for Riverbend either, which we'll get to.
Right.
It's coming.
We're going to pace out.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you got all the way to number 1 and you didn't mention Heather Hunter on Soul Train in 1990.
I miss Heather Hunter.
How did you get that? She stars in the award-winning motion picture Twice as Nice, and then gets a leading job as a lead dancer. I'm sorry, I have to interject. Forget your number 1. That's my number 1 of 1990. I still have those VHS tapes, folks.
Oh, no. Oh, we're going left right now because you understand.
No, the Soul Train tapes. You're misunderstanding.
No one knows
Sure.
who Heather Hunter
Well,
is.
they're Googling.
Oh, yes, they do.
Yeah, nobody watching this knows.
Okay, well,
And the ones that do
I
know.
suggest that you go to
Easy.
start a separate
I was about to say
podcast
easy.
on a different streaming platform where you review the classics. You might end your life never having reviewed every one.
You may want to search Heather Hunter on your burner phone, ladies and gentlemen. I'm forewarning you.
Oh, you said Heather Hunter.
1990.
That is-
the first thing that pops into my mind.
That's the first thing. Wow. But okay, Heather Hunter.
What is?
What is the actual number 1?
Yeah, what is the actual number?
What is the actual number 1?
I'm just playing to
That Mike says should trump. Heather Hunter trumps our number 1.
What's your number 1?
So remember, Mike Dennis's number 1 for 1990 is Heather Hunter on Soul Train.
Twice as Nice, folks.
Twice as nice. Mike Dennis of ReelBlack says that should trump
Hung jury.
February 11th of 1990 when one Nelson Mandela is released from the Victor Verster prison near Cape Town after 27 years behind bars.
So what do you think, Mike?
What do you
Heather Hunter on Soul Train in one hand. Nelson Mandela freed from prison in South Africa in the other hand.
Sincerely, Screw the Right Thing was a better movie than Idris Elba as Nelson Mandela. And I stand by that as the proprietor and HNIC of ReelBlack. However, I curb my enthusiasm for this whole conversation as Professor Michael J. Dennis at Temple University. So, I don't get anybody upset at me. But I mean, this shows how deep I know about these motion pictures.
Talk about like Coming in America, which is
Coming to America.
well, that's a different movie.
No, Coming to America is Heather Hunter.
I thought she was.
I thought she was coming in America.
Yeah, I thought it was.
We'll put it. All right,
Sure.
Message me, Real Black Renaissance on Instagram.
Yeah, let's see if this is a Real Black Renaissance. Twice as nice.
She just had a baby.
Did she now?
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram.
Oh my God, you keep up with
she's
Heather Hunter.
ancient. I keep up with you guys too, so don't discriminate.
I'm not discriminating. I'm fine.
Look, I mean,
Wow,
she's
what
a
an
photographer, and she just had a child.
We should see if we can get her on our show.
Cinnamon Love is out there somewhere.
Oh, now you're talking my language.
I don't know about the Jack Me, but they're
Janet?
I don't know where they are. I'm not sure if they're on social media.
Probably not.
Disappeared.
Janet doesn't like to talk much. I met her once.
She doesn't talk at all, does she?
Oh my God.
Okay. Anyway. All right. That was a
That was
mini
Micheaux After Dark.
So how do I feel about Nelson Mandela?
Oh, we already know how you feel about Nelson Mandela, Mike.
I mean, hopefully you were glad. Like
I was siding with Winnie. I mean, I'm not saying get tires out, but that's why we're promoting Riverbend, because it's about retribution. It's not about Actually, I shouldn't even say that. It's really about the dynamic between retribution and justice and what's more important. I think in a peaceful world, we want justice. And freeing Nelson Mandela was a symbol that signified the changing of the guard. I mean, basically, America cut them off from some money, so they had to make some moves, but that's how they do it. But yeah, I think that's a great way to segue into.
It is, absolutely. That is the top 5, ladies and missionaries. Thank you. And it is now time for the Game of Kings.
Right, I got to get my head right now. Now I got to get my head right. All right, go ahead. All right.
Oh,
as we move into 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin. 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin, where I come up with 2 actors and I present them to Vincent, and he has 6 movies or less to connect them to that 70s heartthrob himself, Mr. Heather Hunter, D'Urville Martin.
D'Urville Martin.
And Mike Dennis of ReelBlack will be here to help Vincent if he needs to phone a friend.
All right.
Before I get into the actors that I have selected, Vincent, keeping in theme, there's a famous Steve and a famous James. For Steve James, the star of Riverbend, the film that we'll be reviewing.
I see it.
We have a request from the Missionaries. Farrell Blackwell wants to know, Vincent, can you connect D'Urville Martin in 6 movies or less to Heather Hunter?
All jokes aside, did Heather Hunter make any non-porno movies?
I believe she did. Didn't she move into... I thought she tried her hand.
Like, I know
it might have been TV.
Like Jeannie Pepper was in... Is How High the... I think she might be in How High with Method Man and Redman. And then, what's her name is in Black Dynamite. The irony is because we've been doing this long enough, I actually thought about porno stars in straight movies.
So what
to do?
Can you connect the TV show? Can you connect Heather Hunter? It has to be motion picture.
Has to be motion.
We usually use motion pictures.
Yeah.
Well, the director, the cinematographer of Twice as Nice, also shot. No, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm looking at her on IMDb, and I'm not seeing
I don't know if she did
any
like
movies.
But let's see. I mean, that's a legitimate question. Can we table it, and I'll probably chime back in.
Let's table it and come back to that.
She actually did one film from 1990. Wow.
What was it?
What was it? Yeah.
It's saying this was actually just Frankenhooker.
Oh, she's in Frankenhooker?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can imagine.
She's in Frankenhooker.
Nobody you ever heard of?
Besides Heather Hunter?
Some other porno actors and
yeah. Patty Mullen. And there is actually a name, and I'll give you the name because you would never pull it. Louise Lasser.
Oh, okay, that's simple.
You know the name.
Mm-hmm. Let me see his face.
That's a woman.
Face.
That's a woman. She was married to Woody Allen.
Mary Hartman.
Mary Hartman.
But again, did she do movies?
I was about to say, I don't remember her in movies.
She did more movies.
You can tie her in with.
You're right, because she was
everything you always want to know about sex, but we're afraid to ask. Or
she was in Bananas.
Bananas with Woody Allen. So you say Woody Allen. You just say Woody Allen connects to D'Urville Martin. How?
Well, Woody Allen is in what's the movie with Scarlett Johansson?
Oh, that was one of his movies.
Christina Barcelona?
Yeah, the one that just came out in the last 5-6 years. And then, Scarlett Johansson, you get her in the Marvel mush with Samuel L. Jackson.
Okay.
And then that's 2 movies away from D'Urville.
Sam Jackson?
Yeah, because he's either in, he's in Mo Better Blues.
And D'Urville was in?
Dick Anthony Williams is in Mo Better Blues, and then Dick Anthony Williams is in 5 on the Black Hand Side with D'Urville Martin.
Okay. All right. Hey, you can't stump the band.
There you go.
So there you go.
So we've got the Heather Hunter Farrow.
There you go. All right.
Trying to stump my man Vincent.
Heather Hunter's out there screaming right now. You can follow me, Heather, at reelblack.com, ReelBlack. See, I put your name in the lights today. Don't forget that. All right. Anyway, so that was the game, or the game is about to start.
I feel like this episode is going to be evidence one day.
Just trying to figure out.
You guys are not Vlad.
Right to.
You're not Vlad. There's no bodies. I'm just Riverbend. That's all.
Move my seat away. Vincent.
Yes, Lynn.
It's
Pharaoh, it's your fault.
it's 6 films or less.
Yes.
Connect Derville Martin,
To.
Steve Zahn.
Oh, the little guy.
Yes.
Yeah. Think about him. I love him the most in Treme. But all right, I'll get to him real fast. Because he's also in the movie that I really like that people have been talking about lately for some reason. I thought I was the only one who liked it. But Derville Martin is in Five on the Black Hand Side with Dick Anthony Williams. Dick Anthony Williams is in Mo Better Blues with Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington is in Philadelphia with Tom Hanks. And then Tom Hanks is in That Thing You Do
Yes. With
with
Steve
Steve
Zahn.
Zahn.
I love that movie.
I love that movie too.
That's a fun movie.
It's a fun movie. I was looking at a TikTok series about fictional songs that could have been real songs.
And
the genius of That Thing You Do is it seems like a song that would have become a huge hit, but the people who came up with it seem like the kind of band that would be a one-hit wonder.
yeah.
Like it's a song that would have been a huge hit, and then after 6 months, everyone got tired of it. But like that's kind of hard to put, but I like him in that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's having a ball in that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That is.
Nailed it. Was it five steps? Did you do?
I think so.
That wasn't even 5. I think it was more like 4.
But so what does it say? Dick Anthony Williams,
Denzel.
Denzel,
You went to Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. So 3 steps.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Next one. This is one that I know we've done before, but maybe you'll forget.
Okay.
In 6 films or less, connect Derville Martin to this famous James, James Cromwell.
Oh,
I know where you're going.
yeah, because we've not done this before.
I think we have.
No, we have not, because I've never talked about how dare you? How dare you disrespect my Star Trek bona fides?
Yeah, so I thought we've done that. I
No,
thought you connected to
we've
him
never
before.
talked about First Contact.
No, because you brought up Alfred Wood. No, maybe it was because of Alfred Wood.
Right.
That's why.
How
Because I knew we did the film before.
dare you?
Okay, all right.
All right, let's see.
Do the.
All right, and I'm going to do some science fiction.
Wait, James Cromwell's a tall guy.
Yeah.
Family.
From Babe.
Yeah. And LA Confidential.
LA Confidential.
But more importantly,
Yes.
Derville Martin is in The Final Come Down with Billy D. Williams. Billy D. Williams is in Empire Strikes Back with Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford is in Blade Runner with Sean Young. Sean Young is also in Dune with Patrick Stewart. And Patrick Stewart is in Star Trek First Contact with James Cromwell because he's
He plays the guy who
Cochran.
Yeah.
The
Created
First
the warp
Contact
drive.
guy. Yeah. I love him in that because if you're a Star Trek fan, so for Star Trek, people who aren't Star Trek, Earth makes contact with the Vulcans, and that's what propels them into space and
Further into space.
in contact with everyone else. Like there's not necessarily a prime directive in place per se, but kind of the rules are aliens don't mess with planets that haven't developed warp technology.
Yeah.
And Zachary Cochran is the guy on Earth who perfected the warp drive. And the thing I love about him in First Contact is that like he's one of these names that if you watch Star Trek through the years, you hear him. Like he's like Benjamin Franklin and Abraham Lincoln. So you
always heard his name.
You always heard his name. First Contact, James Cromwell plays him, but he's like a crazy guy. Wow. So it's kind of subverts the whole thing about historical figures. And it's James Cromwell, who's always kind of, he's like the LA Confidential guy. Okay. And he's kind of playing wacky. So I really like him in First Contact.
Can I try one? I didn't. You mentioned that he was in L.A. Confidential.
Yes.
Yeah.
With Kevin Spacey.
Yes.
Who was in See No Evil, Hear No Evil. Mm-hmm. With Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor was in Adios Amigos.
Unfortunately.
With Fred
Williamson.
And Derville Martin was in tons of Fred Williamson movies. So, all right.
There you go.
Okay, just getting my little rust off. You know, breakdances is happening in the Olympics now. So I'm 4 more years, I'll be ready. You know, that was good though. I liked it. All right, so I got it. I beat you though. Beat ya. I got you. I got you.
Very good. Very good. All right.
I just want to talk about
I didn't see
Blade
that.
Runner and Dune.
Well, I mean, you're the sci-fi guy. You know, I like film noirs. So
I like film noir too.
So do you like Blade Runner?
I love film noir. I love Blade Runner. I mean, I like the original version of Blade Runner.
Yeah. That's the only one that. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We showed that in class. If you studying at Temple University, cinematic cities, we use futuristic cities and we talk about the history of cinema. Yeah.
You know the story then about the dude who designed the sets in the city.
We didn't go that deep.
Yeah. So he's a dude and I used to know his name, but he designed the cars.
Okay.
And when how do I forget the director of Blade Runner? Ridley Scott. When Ridley Scott saw the sketches in the background, he had sketched buildings and everything, and he liked the background sketches so much, he hired him to design the set. So like the dude who designed the flying car also designed all the other stuff.
That's so dope.
Oh, I love Blade Runner.
That's so dope.
All right.
Vashawn, shout out to Vashawn. We were doing this earlier, but anyway, you guys got to come to the class and talk. So it's cinematic cities, and I just got my contract. I haven't signed it yet, so hopefully it's still available to me in the morning. But I'll be teaching.
Did you see this guy on this YouTube? Oh my God.
Hey, look, you got to keep the kids awake.
Amen.
I know that's right.
All right, ladies, folks, it is now time for us to move into our review of Riverbend from 1990 with Mike Dennis of ReelBlack.
Be gentle, but be honest and fair.
Always.
A black major and his men are on the run from a rigged court-martial and hide out in a small Georgia town where a cruel white sheriff is terrorizing the black population. Together with one strong-willed woman, they formulate a bold plan to fight for freedom and human rights. In Riverbend, the movie kicking off, our A is for Action August, here on the Micheaux Mission, stars Steve James, Margaret Avery, Tony Frank, Julius Tennant, Alex Morris, and written by Samuel Vance, directed by Sam Furstenberg, and brought to the Micheaux Mission by our good friend and our very special guest tonight, Mike Dennis of ReelBlack, who is actually in the midst of restoring this film to its 1990 pristine glory. Mike, what say you of Riverbend?
It's the best movie you'll ever see that you've never heard of. You know, there's an argument. 1990 was an interesting year. It was actually released at the Cannes Film Festival in 1989, right? So it's contemporary of Do the Right Thing and Mississippi Burning. The filmmakers, the writer, producer, Sam Vance, he spent 8 years developing the story, but when it was released, he said, we want this to be the antidote, the anti-Mississippi Burning. We want to have a movie where black characters are presented that take agency for their own fate.
Yes.
You know, and he did that with the help of Troy and Regina Dale, who financed the film in Texas independently. And they made it, and then it was promptly buried. It made it to VHS and promptly disappeared. You know, VHS was big. There might have been 20,000 copies of this on VHS at the time. But, you know, you're lucky if you can find one now that still plays. So, you know, I was brought into, I discovered the film. We had this at the store that I used to work, Video Library in Mount Airy. And this cover did not sell me on. I was like, I don't want to see this crap. I don't want to see this crap. And then Charles Woods, the professor, people that watch my ReelBlack channel know him. He had like 5 copies of this thing.
Wow.
Yeah, he said, you got to see it. I'm like, why are you so obsessed about this movie? And I watched it like you guys did, and it blew my mind. It really is one of 2 movies, maybe, that I can think of. And as I demonstrated my deep knowledge of cinema, I think it's this and Spook Who Sat by the Door are the only 2 movies that are like this, that show Black people fighting back against their oppressors. And like I said, it was promptly buried, much like Spook Who Sat by the Door was promptly buried. And now when we take it to festivals and screen it, people are like, wow, this movie is just as relevant today.
Very much.
As it would have been in 1989 when Do the Right Thing was getting all the play. So yeah, that's my take on it.
So before we dig deep into the movie, let's talk about the actor, the lead,
Steve James.
Steve James.
Steve James, who unfortunately is no longer with us, passed away not long after making this film. Actually,
Yeah, at the age of 41 in December of 1993 of cancer. And shout out to Debbie James, his daughter, who has been really helping us get the word out about this project.
And this is one of, if not his only, but certainly one of his few lead performances.
One of 2. The other one's called Street Hunter. But
Right.
in my opinion, this is his best starring performance. And it must be restored. So be ready. Follow us on Instagram so we can hit you up with that Kickstarter campaign down the road.
Yeah. So, what do you know of Steve James? Were you a fan of his before you?
Well, I knew him, as a youngin'. I didn't watch the American Samurai movies or Avenging Force or, the films that he did with Sam Furstenberg.
The American Ninja movie.
American Ninja, thank you. Thank you for that. But I knew him as Kung Fu Joe from I'm Gonna Get You Something. Right. And I knew him from To Live and Die in L.A. And I knew him from Brother from Another Planet.
Right.
So he was this ubiquitous force that kind of showed up in these movies, Weekend at Bernie's 2, and just kind of stole scenes,
Right.
But he, he was always playing the sidekick. There's never a role for him as the lead in anything.
Yeah, he called himself a professional tonto.
Exactly. But that's the extent of my knowledge about him. And then when he died, I heard about it, of course,
Yeah.
But, and because, the Kung Fu Joe connection is where I'm, but there, anybody watching this that cares about Steve James knows him from the American Ninja movies for sure. And as we go on the road, there's this, I don't know if you guys follow, that series, but after part 2, Michael Dudikoff leaves. And there's this ongoing debate of why wasn't Steve James offered the role to become the lead? And the argument is racism.
Yeah.
Those movies were
The reason is
designed,
racism.
designed to sell overseas. And at the time, there was no belief that Steve James could sell a movie to Japan or where.
Right.
So they just promptly replaced him with another, less talented in terms of martial arts leading person. But out of the Steve James stuff, and you can see a lot of stuff on YouTube as we speak. After you see Riverbend, watch Avenging Force, because that's another movie. Actually, and we'll get into, Avenging Force is kind of the reason why Steve James got to be in Riverbend. But we can get to that in a heartbeat. So, but what was your okay?
No.
Yeah.
Just curious. So, what did you think when you discovered Riverbend? What did you think of the movie? You say it's the best film that you've never seen. Why so?
Agency. Agency of, when I say agency, it means, self-determination in the sense that the characters in most movies that don't star people with our hue get to decide their own fate. Like Thelma and Louise, we're going to put our foot on the gas and drive off the cliff, But you go see Juice and, it was designed with Tupac lets go of the hand. He does not want to be saved. But in the editing of the movie, they make it seem like this character slips and falls and yells, and that's what and Mississippi Burning is a movie that's purportedly about the civil rights movement. and black heroes like Martin Luther King and all those folks, but it's told from the perspective of two white FBI agents, you know, and that denies characters of their own ability to determine their fate. You know, the same with, we talked about, Nelson Mandela, there's a movie called Cry Freedom from around the same time period where it's about Steve Biko. Loosely. It's supposed to be about Steve Biko, but then, you know, he passes on in the movie, spoiler alert, and then we go on for another 30 minutes while the film wraps itself up of the white guilt. And we see that as late as Last King of Scotland, which is supposed to be about Idi Amin, but it's told from this white perspective. So what immediately grabbed me was, wow, this is a movie that was really trying to say something and give, and what it's about, as you mentioned, it's about a town, it's sort of loosely Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven inspired movie where a trio of Vietnam soldiers who are on the lam from a trumped up charge court-martial. They escape and they end up in this small town called Riverbend, Georgia, where that's being terrorized, literally terrorized by a white supremacist sheriff.
And we should mention that this happens in 1966.
Oh, so 1966, but 1960, as they say in the movie, 1866, 1966, it could happen any day,
right?
You know, but by being set in the past, it gives it a framework, you know, that allows them to say, well, wait a second, you know, we've went halfway across the world as Vietnam soldiers, to kill people we don't, and we've done, you know, things that we can't even speak of, unspeakable things, and we can't stay here in Riverbend and help our own people escape the terror that they have to exist with every day. I mean, that one scene in the film grabbed me, you know, and I said, wow. And then immediately I think of Spook Who Sat by the Door, which is in my top 5 all-time black movies. So, that's why I care about the movie. And anybody who sees it, it's got like 30,000 views on YouTube on our channel, leaves really positive comments. And it's just, you know, that's, you know, I have a passion for this movie, yes.
I think it's kind of interesting that what I was digging on was that it being set in 1966, which is definitely right in the heart of the civil rights movement and everything like that, but it being called River Bend because even still, with that, even though it's right in the heart of the civil rights movement, River Bend, Georgia is almost in its own pocket universe. Right. You know, like the people, like it almost seems like they're maybe unaware of what's happening outside of their town. They know what's happening. It's because it's so deep in the South, you know? Like, you know, the movie opens up with a man having to walk to town, you know, with his letter to try and, you know, fight for his rights. I got the evidence here, and you know, spoiler alert, in the first 5 minutes, he says, "I've got the evidence right here." Well, I don't think he's going to make it to the end of the movie.
It's a B movie. I mean, I'm not, you know, like, you know, we talk about some Oscar winners. This is not going to win anybody's Oscar.
Sure.
No.
You know, and I'm a crate digger also. Like, I love obscure stuff, right? So the opportunity to rescue and restore something that would otherwise be lost, I mean, that's like finding a Dilla record. A Dilla sample that you didn't know existed before, you know, like, and we had a response when we showed in Texas. One of the people, he said, wow, I can't believe that in 2024, I would have the opportunity to see on a big screen a Steve James movie that I've never even heard of.
Right.
You know? So, I mean, it's like, you know, there's some magic happening with this one. But, or the original title, just to be fair for Valerie Vance, who's watching, was Night of the Eagle, right? Because the group of people were the Eagles, right?
Okay.
And a lot of the stuff that didn't make it to the final cut was them bonding and stuff. So what they end up doing after the inciting incident, they escape to the town there and they're enlisted to help them. They take all the men that are of age and they take them out into the woods for 2 weeks and train them.
Right. That's right.
Train them how to defend their community. And so they were the Eagles, and this was the Night of the Eagles. But when it came to make it a more commercial title, they chose Riverbend.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you guys say about Riverbend, Vincent?
Well, I will start with your observation about it being a B movie, and I actually was familiar with Steve James from the American Ninja Domination films, those kind of that canon, straight to video, and I think the two things that really stuck with me was how subversive the film ends up being.
A good word.
Because I do think you look at the cover and it's Steve James and he's got his shirt open, it's people running with guns, and as you said, it's a VHS, and you think you're going into this and you're going to get one of these kind of almost 80s version of a Grindhouse film.
Or a Black Rambo.
Or even that. And it's to speak to the Rambo, like the two things that I thought were wonderful about how it subverts your expectations. As you said, this is 1990, made in 1989. So this is in the midst of a post-Rambo, Chuck Norris, those films, this sort of, 1989, Reagan has come to the end of 2 terms, we're going into Bush, that kind of American jingoism. And the two things that I thought were wonderful to that effect was, A, this was an American town. Like, we talk about this sheriff terrorizing everyone, which he is, but I like how the film makes you know that he is a part of a system. Like, this is not a lone actor. This is part of a system. B, at this point, again, I think First Blood, I looked it up real quick, came out in 82 or 83, but then you get to Rambo in 85, which then kind of churns out these super pro-American, but these kind of post-Vietnam superheroes. And Steve James, as you says, we did unspeakable things in Vietnam. We're not going to act like that here.
Yeah.
So that it kind of pushes back against that part of it, which I thought was amazing. And then to your point, talking about it with the spook who sat by the door, I agree with you. I also think about the end of something like Watermelon Man, where I think it's one thing to show Black rage and Black outrage and Black anger, but I think it's another thing to show Black organization,
right,
and Black discipline.
Yeah.
And as you said, this is not this is not the 3 characters or even Steve James who's going to defeat the bad person by himself. No, he trains an army. Like, this is an army. This is an organization. These are people who have discipline.
Right.
And it is not something that you necessarily expect from, like I joked about, he takes his sleeves off so that the guns are out, and it's 1990 and you're in the video store, and I love that. Like I love a film that zigs when you think it's going to zag.
Right.
And in my mind, the B moviness of it, because let's be, like Steve James, I think has a personality, but he's and the other actors in the film. But in my mind, that kind of makes it even more effective because you're not expecting it.
Well, I think subversive is the key word. I think subversive is the key word. And one of the things also, that I discovered after working with Valerie Vance, the widow of Sam Vance, the writer, and Sam Furstenberg, the director, is you have to put in the perspective that it wasn't just done like that. It took 8 years to develop. They were shopping the script for years, and then through interesting circumstances, they found an angel in Troy and Regina Dale. And so it has the optimism, and the Vances were like a power couple. Like Sam Vance worked for Paramount Pictures. He helped integrate Paramount's writing program and worked on The New Odd Couple, and he worked on Rich Pryor movies, Some Kind of Hero, and The Brady Brides. So, he really was interested in being a part of the system You know, their intention was that they were going to make a movie outside of Hollywood that still had mass appeal.
Yeah.
You know, commercial appeal. They weren't trying to tear down things. And, you know, from the 80s, I think a lot of Black people, you know, this is a Cosby era. You know, we're still looking to integrate into the system. So it's a real nice tension when you watch this movie, because a lot of people in the audience are like, bloodbath, retribution, you know, where are the tires and the gasoline, you know? But the movie is like, no, you know, we're not going to be as bad as this guy.
Yeah.
You know, we just need to draw attention to the problem.
Right.
And it will solve itself in that way. Because at the end of the day, we have to live here after the credits roll. So it's a very delicate balance that the movie plays. And you know, I give it up to the writer, Sam Vance, and the direction. You know, without Sam Furstenberg, the veteran of Canon Films, you know, you wouldn't have the humble fight scenes. I mean, it's a lower budget, you know, so you don't have it's not missing in action, folks, but you get your money's worth as far as fight scenes and fight choreography. And, you know, Mike Shanks is another guy who did all the second unit and stunts and things like that. I got a chance to meet through this adventure that we're doing. So,
what did you? It's interesting you say that about how it's the humble fight scenes, because you're right. You go into it thinking that it's going to be, especially because if you know Steve James as you know, Kung Fu Joe, you're like, oh, that's Kung Fu Joe,
right?
You know, but and he gets his Kung Fu on. But it's low key. It's barely there. It's like maybe 3 scenes.
Very understated.
Very understated. And he actually plays it very understated. You know, which, especially with this being his second time at bat as the lead, you could almost.
This was his first one, and then he did.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. But you, even still, you know, being, you know, second banana so many times, you would think he'd be chomping at the bit to kind of like maybe chew up some scenery.
Right.
And the opportunities are there, but he doesn't. He doesn't. He plays it very underplays it, and it actually works, you know, in the performance, especially considering how much bombast is he's going up against, especially with the sheriff. The sheriff, who is very over the top, but you know, he's playing a role, you know. Tony Frank. He's doing his job. Now, I will say Tony Frank's performance put this film, you know, despite very much being of its time, it made me think, I think this movie maybe missed its mark, and it probably should have been back in the 70s, like a blaxploitation film, because he's playing his character almost to that level. Right. Whereas I think everything else is more grounded, and he's so over top. He comes off with like just total villain, you know, twirling hard on the mustache.
Well, he's the opposite of Boss Hogg from Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing that you can laugh about this guy.
Right.
Well, and they almost lampshaded in the film. There are moments where the white characters in the film are almost like, what is your deal? Like, you know, there's a moment where he goes to a meeting with the mayor and some of the other city fathers. And as you said, he's chewing up all of the scenery, and it's N-word this and N-word that. And while they're not necessarily shocked by the use of this profanity, they are like, you are on one right now.
Yeah.
Like, you need to pull it back a little bit. And I love, you know, spoiler, the good guys win to a certain degree. I love his last sort of observation in the film where he says time is moving on and there is no place for me. And it's like, well, yeah.
But how much of that commentary rings true even today, 2024?
Right.
Yeah, well, I think that's what's interesting. Even though he's over the top, he's the most over the top performer in the film. The actions that he's doing, you know, he's the personification of white supremacy in within the context of the movie, right? But his actions are not unlike things that we get to see in real life through social media, even today.
That's
you
very
know,
true.
so that's why I'm okay with it. Like I know Valerie is very sensitive. Like we had to put a disclaimer on at the beginning of the film,
Yeah, I saw that.
saying that the language is a little bit much. And you know, it's a lot of use of the N-word in there and stuff. And we warn people about the violence that's going to occur. But to me, I'm like I love like Goodbye Uncle Tom. I'm like, give it to me raw. I'll drink my coffees. I'll drink it as black as you can give it to me, you know, when it comes to showing me what this world is about, you know. So I think he's a perfect villain for Steve James. And even the fact that he has the audacity to believe that he could kick Steve James at one point makes for one of the just sort of like, you know, what do you say, artisan bread?
Yeah.
And,
Oh, yeah.
and Swiss cheese
Yeah.
moments of the film, you know. I mean, so yeah, it's definitely a lowbrow film on surface level, but like you said, it's got a very subversive element that I think makes it timeless. You know, it's not just standing the test of time, but I mean, this movie, and I think it was really brilliant of the filmmakers to set it in the past so that you don't have that reaction to, oh, you know, like a lot of times if you point out racism and you make it contemporary, people are like, oh, that doesn't happen, or, you know, you know, if you looked at it later, it's like, oh, that was then, this is now. What they were saying in 1989 was it was happening then, and Eleanor Bumpers and all this stuff is happening now.
Yeah.
It's still relevant, you know. So they had, you know, and this is why you have mature filmmakers telling stories, and it's not always has to be young people telling the immediate story, you know. So yeah.
I wanted to point out the role of women. You know, I think Margaret Avery isn't asked to do a lot, but you know, I kind of liked the restraint of how they dealt with her as the quote unquote love interest, where you kind of feel you know, it's like, you know, it's movies,
right?
So you know, but they kind of hold off. And then I really, really liked there's a beat with the character Paulette, who has been Pauline, who's been assaulted earlier in the film, and her brother is murdered. And I love the fact that the film gives her a moment,
Yes,
to express what has happened to her. And speaking of agency, like she, you know, takes matters into her own hands until, you know, you have to talk to her about what she will and will not do. And again, as someone who watched a lot of these movies, you know, again, like I'm unapologetically a fan of those canon sort of, you know, Golden Globus straight to videos. This is not a depiction of women that you get. You know, if there's a love interest in there at some point, you know, I have to say, just seeing Margaret Avery in this role, I was like, oh, because, you know, usually it's some aspiring actress and there's going to be a nude scene and this, that, and other. And
this is post The Color Purple.
Right. Yeah. And then, you know, again, oftentimes women are assaulted, women have to deal with sexual violence in these films, but it's always just as something to push the male character into action. So I just love that moment.
Yeah, there's a great deal of respect done for the women characters, and I should let people know what you gentlemen saw was the director's cut.
Okay.
Like I said, when you go to Photomat and you get the film back, it's scratched, and then there were scenes missing. They cut out a lot of the love story between the two, right? About 6 minutes, and Sam, the director, he made a decision to leave a lot of those scenes with Margaret out of the current edit, you know, because he felt that it just made her a little too forward. You know, like her husband literally just died.
Her husband had just got murdered.
I was going to say that.
And there's a scene, if you watch the VHS version, there's a scene on the porch where she's almost kind of coming on to him. And he said, that's too much. It's illogical or whatever. So, so, you know, there's a debate whether those will make it to the final version that makes it the Blu-ray because Valerie Vance, she likes the scenes, and then the director feels that they're unnecessary. So we have to table that argument until we actually get the restoration.
I think the scenes are probably well done, but I think the point is a valid point that, you know, her husband is the one that we see murdered in the very beginning of the movie. It's like the inciting incident. And this film takes place really, I think, over a course of what, 48, 72 hours?
Well, about 2 weeks of training.
Okay, and I forgot about the 2 weeks. Well, it's still not a long stretch
But
of
they
time.
get into the town the day after her husband's murder.
Right.
That's very clear.
Yeah, so it's not like it's been a long, it's right in that, it's right there.
Right, and
so,
it's not like her husband was like craven, and like her husband was actually a noble, brave man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you know, a natural attraction that might happen. Yes, and I think you see it.
James,
enough of that is in the
guns
film,
out. Yeah.
but too much of that, I think that I would bump up against that.
Well, I mean, you know, that's the director's feeling. You know, I'm making the authorized restoration, so we're just tabling that argument for now. But I hear you guys on that one for sure.
Yeah. Well, we're lauding this film, but there's one thing, and there's really only one thing that I really bumped up against this film.
Sure, you don't have to love it, you know.
So the movie starts off with these three, Vietnam vets. They're being taken to Georgia for a court martial.
Right.
Right. And I don't, if the movie explains why they're being taken to Georgia specifically, I don't remember. That's not that important.
Right.
Ultimately, they escape the MPs. Mm-hmm. In their escape from the MPs, which is one of the, I mean, how they do it with a cigarette, lighting the paper on fire, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they beat up these two MPs who obviously borrowed their costumes. But then they run. I lied to you not, folks. They run perhaps 20 feet away from the MPs, and the MPs never start to run after them.
Sure.
They take one shot, and it's like, well.
In their defense, it was probably really hot.
Well, I mean, James Bond
it's
does it
humid.
all the time. You don't question the opening sequence.
Right. You know,
James Bond is jumping off of cliffs on skis, and then he's zooming down. These guys were running through a river, not quite at the bend yet, full of rocks, and they were maybe 20 feet away, and they did not give chase at all.
really hot. Also, probably snakes.
Yeah, it was hot that day. That was the only issue. I mean, you can tear it apart if you want. I mean, I don't know. I don't think anybody was attempting to make Shakespeare. I think they wanted to tell a story.
No, yeah. And you go into it and you know what you're getting. Mm-hmm. So,
or you think you know what
you're getting,
and then you get something different,
totally different.
Yeah.
Would I have maybe cast somebody different than Margaret Avery? Me myself, probably. Steve James, I liked. He underplays things. Does he maybe underplay it a little bit much in some scenes? Yeah, to me. But ultimately, I get where he's going. You know, he's supposed to be like this fulcrum upon which the whole movie is revolving. So I'm fine with that. So ultimately, I come away with okay, and like we've just pointed out, the movie is trying to say something. Right. It's not trying to just fit into what's happening now. He's actually trying to say something. There is a message to be made, to be felt and learned from this film. And it's an audacious ending where it's not some big, kumbaya love scene. It's not him kissing Margaret Avery. Mm-hmm. It is these two, quote unquote, warring factions coming together. And, in the first step to dealing with their differences.
Yeah.
So that is very audacious, considering that it's set in 1966 and for even a 1990 film. and the quiet is kept. It is audacious for a film for 2024. So I appreciate what the movie is trying to do.
Yeah. My understanding, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but this may be the only starring role for Margaret Avery. And it definitely was the first opportunity she had to play a lead.
Well, she's the female lead in The Fish That Stays Pittsburgh.
But I mean, like to carry the romantic lead.
She carries she's carried a romantic lead with Dr. J.
I mean, she has a bigger role in Which Way Is Up than in The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. Like
She's
I would have
big role.
I would have went to Which Way Is Up.
Okay, well, I said, I'm with the Masters. So, but I mean, it was an opportunity for them both to have starring roles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have their name above the title.
Yeah.
And
Which you would have thought she would have got more roles, opportunities than that coming off of The Color
Purple. It's true. Racism.
Yeah.
But I think if I had discovered this movie when I was like 15, 17 years old working at the video store, I probably would have dismissed it, like not enough action, boring, slow, whatever. But as an older person, and now after 2020, the death of George Floyd and the pandemic, I can see more clearly what they were trying to do and how rare it is that people take that opportunity when they are making a movie, a feature film, to try and say something that challenges a system.
Right.
And with Black people, it's about agency. So yeah.
I agree. Like I said, you're talking about Black people having agency in a film. Like I said, I named it. As you mentioned, the spook who sat by the door. The end of Watermelon Man, where you see him actually training with other Black people, and now this. I very rarely, if ever, again, you always see Black outrage, Black sort of pushing back, and then certainly there's space for rage,
right?
Obviously, but there's something about organization, consistency, and discipline in your resistance that I think is by definition radical. I mean, you think about the actual history of the Black Panthers,
right?
And that's really what upset people. Anybody can break stuff, but it's another thing to have again this in place. And I really admired the effort the film made to show that. Like you said, this is the text. We are going to train you for 2 weeks.
Right.
I am the major. This is the lieutenant. This is the sergeant. This is how this is going to work.
Right.
And then when the shit hits the fan, you see them have this training so that it is it's an army. So
yeah, and shout out to Julius Tenen, who's now married to Viola Davis. He's in there. He's sort of like the Killmonger of the film.
Is that who he is?
Yes.
That's Viola Davis's husband?
Julius Tenen. Yeah, he was a stage actor in Texas. When they were making the film, they cast him. The only two actors from outside of Texas are Margaret Avery and Steve James. The rest of the cast is all Texas.
Local, right?
And Troy Dale, who was the executive producer of the film, he plays the kind-hearted white character who shakes hands at the end, and is the voice of reason, so to speak.
Well, that is funny because my wife was reading Viola Davis's book a couple of months ago, and then apparently Viola Davis says she prayed for a big old huckabuck country boy, and he's a big old huckabuck man. It's like, oh yeah, because I liked him.
He's good.
Yeah, I liked him.
He's giving the movie balance.
Yeah, I liked him.
With him.
All right.
So, would you recommend that people see Riverbend?
No, I don't want them to see it. I want them to buy it. I want them. Them to invest in the restoration of the film.
No, that is right.
When the time comes. I mean, we haven't announced yet. The process is very complicated. Having to go back and redo it, basically doing a second restoration, so that we can give people the best quality of this film possible. But if you just follow Real Black Renaissance on Instagram, all the updates will be there. And you'll have it for the next generation to be able to share and show, So that's I want this movie to be seen as widely as possible by as many people as possible, but I also want it to maintain its collector's value, right? So if you have the VHS, it still has value. If you have the Blu-ray, it's going to increase in value because we're not going to make that many copies, So, invest in what I believe in really strongly. And hopefully you guys are believing it as well too. I appreciate you giving us the time to talk about Riverbend in this way, and then it just becomes a grassroots journey to restore this thing and get it seen in its best possible quality for generations to come.
Well, there you go. So I would recommend that you see Riverbend, ladies and gentlemen, and you should buy it when it becomes available. Follow Real Black Renaissance on Instagram so you can find out when it is.
And I will go ahead and complete that. And I absolutely recommend Riverbend. I think it's an interesting film. I think part of the conversation that we have a lot is a continuum of Black film and how these films kind of fit together. And as I said, this is a really interesting moment in Black film in 1989, 1990. And this really kind of adds to that conversation. But outside of the merits of the film on its own, I don't say anything behind someone's back that I won't say to their face. I've said it all the time. I think Real Black does important work.
Thank you.
Like, I think you are actually important, and what you do is valuable. And so much that we talk about, like you were just talking about this being on VHS, or we were talking about In Living Color, and you mentioned that the musical performances are on the VHS, but they're not on the DVD. One of the things that we talk about periodically is so much Black film has been lost from VHS to DVD to Blu-ray, and now things are streaming. Like I was joking about my daughter watching Jungle Fever. Jungle Fever is not streaming. And this is Spike Lee.
Wow.
So there's so much Black film that in my personal life and for what we do on the Micheaux mission, we use you as a resource. Like, we use Real Black. So anything Real Black, I think we all should support. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, hopefully this moment that we're having now becomes a movement. This is the first time that we're really like soliciting help. I've carried it as far as I can carry it on my back, and the only way to get it to physical media is through a Kickstarter campaign or something like that. But if you want to support, we've identified 4 quadrants: Vietnam, veteran, or people that are into Vietnam stories. This is one that's not been seen by very many people. Those are potential supporters. Fans of Steve James and Cannon films and Sam Furstenberg, if you like action films. That's a market that you will not miss out on. People that want to help restore movies that otherwise be lost to time. And then just straight out racists that just want to see for 90 minutes white people getting their butts kicked. They can support us as well. We're happy. All the money is green.
It's all green.
We're happy
Those
to
dollars
take.
spend.
We don't care if you're racist. We don't care if you look at the movie the other way. We just need support at this time in 2024 so we can get to Juneteenth with a special edition Blu-ray.
There you go. That's the mission. All right. So that is Riverbend. Before we tell you what we're going to be reviewing next week here on the Micheaux Mission, I invite you all to please, once again, go and follow, support Real Black Renaissance on Instagram.
Real Black, REELBLACK, Renaissance, I don't know how to spell that, on Instagram. Send a DM to me and I'll get you a postcard.
There you go. And you can also subscribe to Real Black also on YouTube, REELBLACK. And Check out everything they leave
Yeah,
out
we're
there.
almost at 1.5 million subscribers on Channel 1. We need more help on ReelBlack 2. That's the one that monetizes. So
ReelBlack 2. There you go.
1 and 2.
What?
You can't miss out.
Find the man. Subscribe to it all.
The elusive Mike.
Whatever ReelBlack, subscribe. Okay? That way.
I love you.
Mike, I hit it all up. I got like 6 ReelBlack subscriptions. Thank you. I don't care. I'm on Threads everywhere. All right?
I love it. Thank you so much. Oh, Renaissance in the chat. Thank you, Marsha.
All right. We want to thank, before we tell you what we're going to be reviewing next week, we want to thank each and every one of you that were able to make it out last Thursday, to the Be Real Micheaux screening series, our screening of The Last Dragon. It was a fantastic time at Bryn Mawr Film Institute. We had a ball. It was damn near a sellout crowd.
Oh yeah.
People were reciting the dialogue in the aisles. People were dancing in the aisles, talking to you, Ariel. They were having a great time, and they voted on the next film in the screening series, which will be coming up in time for Halloween, October 23rd at the Bryn Mawr Film Institute. The Be Real Micheaux screening series returns with Attack the Block.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Sci-fi, British sci-fi.
British sci-fi. Yes, bruv. The movie that made a star out of John Boyega will be coming your way live on the big screen for one night only. October 23rd, Bryn Mawr Film Institute. Tickets are on sale now at brynmarfilm.org. So you can go and check it out. Be there with Vincent, myself, and our good friend Stephanie Watt of the Be Real Black Cinema Club, as we are there to host and do a live podcast about Attack the Block and free soft pretzels. I had you at free soft pretzels. I know I did. All right. If you are a fan of the Micheaux Mission, we invite you to have your voice heard as one of our missives. Email us at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's MICHEAUXMISSION@gmail.com. You can like and follow the Micheaux Mission on the social media of your choice, whether it be Instagram, X, Facebook, or even LinkedIn at Micheaux Mission. You can also subscribe and hit the bell on YouTube so you can be notified of when we go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and when we upload all of our new videos, all of which take place right here at YUNKJunk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace. If you want to book yourself some time in one of their fabulous studios here and get yourself your own Dylan. We told you, he has cloned about 7 Dylans. I think there are order for 7 more. So many podcasts are booking here, so you got to get booked right now. You can email Dylan Prime at DYLAN@YUNKJunk.com. That's Dylan at YUNKJunk.com, and book yourself your time here at one of their fabulous studios. The Micheaux Mission is also a proud member of The Podglomerate, thepodglomerate.com. They make podcasts work, such as ours, which will be returning next Tuesday at 7 p.m. live with our review of our next stop on Action August is Vincent's selection. We get into the year of 1972 with Vanetta McGee, William Smith, Bernie Hamilton, and Fred Williamson in Hammer.
Fred the Hammer Williamson.
Next week, here on the Micheaux Mission. Until then, he's Vincent, I'm Len, and in parting, we say,
We'll see you when it's time to meet again.
YUNKJunk!